This is 12FU with Adam and Jake. I am Adam Ball, and the other half of 12FU is Jake Roos. What's up, Jake?
Hey, how you doing today, Adam?
Pretty good. So, this is pretty much the first time we've ever done this. Kind of give you a rundown of what we believe 12FU is actually going to be. 12FU is not going to be a wrestling podcast. It's not going to be a music podcast. It is not a pop culture, a computer. It's not a pigeonholed podcast. This is something that we are going to have different subjects every week, different things. Because I personally am a man of very different tastes, very different interests and things. I believe Jake is as well.
I would agree with that. I don't think our pool isn't deep, but it certainly isn't shallow.
Right.
We got our hands on a little bit of everything. I want to talk about, have a conversation about what's interesting to me, what's interesting to you.
Absolutely.
I think we walk between a lot of different tribes, and I think this is a good platform to just kind of talk about what our ideas and our thoughts are on every single one. This first episode just so happens to be a real good way to introduce ourselves and our ideas to you. We're going to be talking about what everybody wants to know, what our opinions are on the top 5 Hulk Hogan movies.
You asked for it, and by you, I mean absolutely no one, because nobody knows that we are doing this. I mean, Hulk Hogan has always been a giant figure in my life as a child. Maybe not so much in recent years, but definitely as a child, Hulk Hogan, if he was in anything, touched anything, I wanted to be part of it.
Well, definitely in the recent years, we know he touched something. So I'd say, even though we're just talking about Hogan this time, next time, who knows what we're talking about. I know, you and I have been kind of going back and forth. We might head up to Toledo, Fort Wayne, get into some local comedy circuits, talk to some comedians, see, the struggles on the road, what they're facing.
Might even have some of our friends, local musicians, just talk to them, see how they started. We might have conversations on that. We might have WrestleMania wrap-ups, talk about movies, Star Wars. We're both giant Star Wars fans.
Yep.
Just whatever. And I feel like we slid back into that other point, but let's get back to what we're doing today, Jake.
So today
Powers Unite!
Yes, the Mega Powers. Macho Man, Hulk Hogan. But yes, today we are definitely talking about top 5 Hogan movies. We did a week's long worth of really intensive research, note-taking.
Yeah, really, really intensive. I think
the hardest part for this week was just being made fun of by my wife. Every single moment she had to make fun of me, she took. So...
Brittany was the exact same way. My wife didn't have a kind thing to say to me during Mr. Nanny, so I think that's probably just their role in our lives to make sure that we feel stupid about the things that we love.
And they married us, so that makes them even more dumb.
Yes.
So I try to constantly remind Lindsay of that. So
I'm stupid by marriage.
Exactly, by proxy. Here you go. So no further ado, here we go. Let's get into this, and thanks for listening, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Oh, come on now. It's a great place. I like it. Nah. Man, look, we got shopping malls and we got all kinds of places that you can go. You like Sinead O'Connor? Not that.
Torn off, but yet still on.
Right.
Like that vest in the wintertime, and you're like, what are you really doing here?
He's just a man who really doesn't like shirts.
He's got his mandana on. It's not even a bandana when it's Hulk Hogan. It's a mandana because he is the epitome of what we looked up to.
I might think he's a piece of shit nowadays.
Uh-huh.
But the problem, or not the problem, but my thing is that I will always remember what he was. That was the guy who told you to say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and was just an idol for kids at the time. He was that generation's John Cena. Because people fucking hated Hogan.
See,
adults.
I don't remember that.
Really?
Because we weren't. It's like my son now, he doesn't realize that people hate John Cena because he's his rock star. I don't remember people ever hating Hogan because I think it was just still real to me, damn it.
Right.
He was our idol. He was our god. Going back on his matches now, not
very good.
It's
I've been trying to figure out myself, and I'm sure the WWE's trying to figure out, is what's the magic? Why was things so much better then than what they are now? Because you have Hogan, he's very limited in his moves too, so he is very John Cena.
Uh-huh.
But he was the icon of professional wrestling for, well, I mean, kind of, sort of still, but, like, for years, like, he was a bankable name, and, like, how can they even replicate that? Like, make a guess. How old is he there?
In that picture right there,
Yeah.
see, he's always been old to me, but, so for the last, when I'm 33, let's think, in that picture, he's got to be 35.
Now, here's the thing. I think, judging by the design on the shirt, I think that was a 90s. So.
No, well, see, I go off the build, right?
By the build? Okay.
The build. So when he was in the WWE, right, he was a bigger, but he wasn't lean and he wasn't cut. When he transferred over to the WCW, he got a little more cut. And then he lost some of that roundness to him.
That's true.
So I always said, like, his pythons were 24 inches, but I think he shredded them down to 22, but he didn't tell anybody.
Okay. Well, he's 65 right now.
Currently.
Now, I said early 90s on this, but now that I'm thinking about it, this is more like the 89. So I'm going to say 89. So, we just got to do a little bit of math here. He was born in 53. So, 89 minus 53.
What'd I say?
He was 36. Okay.
I said 35.
You said 35.
I said 35. I look nowhere near like that.
No.
At 33.
No. Because, like, he's just one of those faces that has always been, like, he looked older. And some of these movies, like, I forget which one I really looked up. I think it was, am I allowed to say names of movies?
You can now.
Okay. So, Mr. Nanny is on my list. I won't tell you what position yet, but Mr. Nanny is on the list.
Right.
And he was, like, 40 when he did that movie.
And that was in his WCW days. In the transfer, like, he was in a lull. This was like, I think Mr. Nanny was post steroid controversy with Vince McMahon. So he was a little shredded. He wasn't that round, strong man.
Right.
But so I would say that makes sense though, because I don't know if he transferred over to the WCW or if he was close to that point. But I know it was post that steroid thing. Like, that's when he really shredded up.
I just feel like his appearance-wise from... what year did No Holds Barred come out?
89.
89? 89? Okay.
Yeah. So this...
Rocky 3 was 83? 82? Okay. Because that's the youngest I've ever seen that man.
Yeah, Thunder Lips.
So, I think that was his first film?
I believe so.
Okay. So, that would explain why that's the youngest, because I'm 84. But it seemed like from 84 to... When did he hit the WCW? 93? 94?
He was definitely at... Okay. He was definitely at WrestleMania 9.
Okay.
Which is where he stole the title from Yokozuna after Yokozuna just beat Bret Hart. Mm-hmm. All right. And that would have been 93.
Okay. So, well, yeah. My point is, because even right there, he looked different. His age, like, just froze for a little bit. And then when he slimmed down a little bit, he looked like a different person. So... And I don't think he ever really returned... Well, maybe a little bit when he became Hollywood Hogan. He kind of returned to this look. But past that, like, he just age froze. That's the weirdness of Hogan.
You know, like, so we have a Hogan, but another, like, a good example of what we're even trying to get to here is, like, the Sam Elliott. You know,
God, yes.
That dude's always been old.
Oh,
From Roadhouse to the Ranch, he's always looked the same to me.
It's people like that where, like, goddamn, man, it's going to hit you.
Yeah. So, like, you know, and I think Sam Elliott, honestly, I think he's around the same era. I think he's in his 70s, so if he's 55. 65?
65, yeah.
Hogan's 65, Sam Elliott's... So whatever happened back in the 50s and late 40s, whatever the hell they're feeding their kids then, they're not doing it now.
Well, here's another thing that I just remembered. So I just met, for the first time, Elvira a couple weeks ago.
Yes, I saw you were looking straight ahead, knowing that your wife was well behind you, and you're not trying to look at them titties.
You know, a lot of people criticize me for not looking over. Come on, people. I've got the picture. I can look later.
That makes sense.
Why?
I don't know how I probably would have... Like, how old is she?
She is 67. So, she is Hogan's senior.
Oh, my gosh.
And I want to say that she probably looks way better than Hogan does right now.
She looks way better than... I'm not even gonna say it. But anyways, yeah. I after you posted that photo online, of course, I was just like, "There's no way. There's no way she still looks that good." And I didn't know how old she was. I know she, clearly she was up there, but
I mean, obviously there's some makeup being done because like they had to close down the booth right before we got there so she could reapply and do some things like that. Because I met her the next day and she still looks damn good for her age, but she didn't look like she did the previous day.
No. You got stage Elvira versus I just wake up in my Jamie's Elvira.
Absolutely. But anyways, I think the point that I was trying to make is like, have you seen Hogan lately?
Lately, no.
And this is one of those things that you don't really make fun of because it's nothing that anybody can really help. But like, old age took a crowbar right across his face.
Oh, it hit him hard.
He has the glasses on. You can't really tell. He takes those glasses off. It is baggy as shit, and he looks like an old man.
Oh man. So, but that's heroes die. And he's
very true.
He's well on his way up. I just don't know if it'll. I think it'll hold water. When people realize that Hogan's passed, when ultimately he does go, like the younger generation wise, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like like compare it to Michael Jordan versus LeBron. The kids today, do they really give a shit about Michael Jordan, or is it just us saying, fuck you? No, like Jordan was the man. LeBron could go suck an ass. I
believe the only reason that people care about Jordan nowadays, the kids anyways, is his shoes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, that's an unfortunate thing. Like, not taking anything away from his legacy. Not that I've got much to speak upon because I'm not a giant sports guy.
Right.
But I mean, even from an outsider's view, that man is iconic.
Yeah.
Is LeBron a better player than him? I have no idea.
I
could not tell you.
But if you wanted to ask me if was Hogan a better wrestler than John Cena, I will tell you no. That's definitely a negatron there.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it's like, who was first? Who got there first?
And
Hogan
he did.
Was first.
Like, if it wasn't for Hogan's, Vince McMahon, you can't not talk about Vince McMahon when we talk about Hogan because he made him what. But if it wasn't for that dynamic duo, wrestling wouldn't be where it is today.
True. Very true.
And our topic would not exist if it was not for them ever pairing up, which would be top 5 Hulk Hogan movies.
Very nice. Now, I know some people will say, did he even have 5 movies? Yes, you have to dig, but they're there.
You might be digging in the $5 movie bin at Walmart, but you can find it.
But, I mean, what we did to make things a little bit easier on us, or at least easier on me, is we made cameos count. Or we pulled in that stipulation at the last moment here.
No, I'm not. No,
okay.
Cameo can count. Like, it's... And I can explain why my cameo counts.
Okay.
So I've got the research in it, and I have theories that's never been tested or proven, but I'm going to bring them to you today.
You are carrying the weight today.
I know.
This is your first, and I feel so bad for you.
I've dug deep. I have found the dark corners of the internet, and Hogan films, which are usually, through research, were New Line Cinema films.
Very true.
Did you notice that as you were doing your research for this?
The top 2 that I was watching, New Line.
New Line. And then, so I'm thinking back, that opening New Line Cinema, scrolling past, thinking about other movies that I loved as a child that were New Line Cinema. Turtles.
True.
Three Ninjas.
True.
I love the original. I really did.
How many Three Ninja movies were there? There's Three Ninjas. Three Ninjas Kick Back.
Kick Back, and then High Noon. And there might be another one that's...
I was thinking that there was 3 before High Noon. Because I know there's some sort of weird...
I stopped watching after Kick Back. That's
fair enough.
Because I was like, whoa, Rocky and Colt aren't the OGs. Grandpa's not even Grandpa. I'm out of here.
I've never to this day seen High Noon. Didn't even make it on my list.
So I was really determined, I'm going to watch High Noon. And I was like, nah, I can't do it. No, screw that. Because I had plenty of other sources to go through. How much money did you spend for this week?
I didn't spend anything. Through my own DVD collection and Vudu's free on demand, I had to watch ads, but I watched them for free.
I paid 99 cents. 99 cents.
For which movie?
No Holds Barred.
Really?
It's not a free one, and I don't own it. But, of course, I could have reached out to somebody and got a copy of it.
Right.
But I found 99 cents was well worth the time and effort for this podcast. And, ultimately, it got me what I needed. And, $1 on Hogan. Hell, I've spent way more money on Hogan over the years.
Oh, my God, yes.
So, 99 cents, you can't even get a fucking double cheeseburger anymore for 99 cents. So, why not 90 minutes of Hulk Hogan versus Debo?
I own No Holds Barred.
Right.
Now, they just re-released this movie recently
Yeah.
in, the last few years, WWE... God, has it been the last few years? I don't even know.
It's 2019, man. I have no idea.
Ooh, yeah, the years just fly by. But I rebought it. It's on DVD. It must not have been in the most recent years because I don't think it's on Blu-ray. If it is, I'll have to rebuy it.
You're not going to do anything in that movie by putting it on Blu-ray.
It's like watching Ghostbusters in 4K. It's like that was an amazing movie, but the more clear it gets, it's like, oh yeah, they did use a peanut in that scene because now I can see it.
Yeah, you're not doing any favors to anybody by doing that film in Blu-ray. Or any of his, by the way. So I guess just to get into it, right, real quick, your top 5. What do you got?
My top 5?
I mean, so I'm talking top 5, not even hey, these are the top 5, but favorite from top to bottom.
Okay, so I'm telling you my top.
Top.
My top, No Holds Barred, number 1.
Boom. Same.
Same?
Yep.
Okay. My number 2 is Mr. Nanny.
Okay.
Which this is my list before I went and rewatched these movies, by the way.
So I thought about trying to do that,
Uh-huh.
and I kind of already had in my head what I wanted to use. The order is where I was like, well, and then so actually after going back through it, I tweaked it a little bit.
I fucking lied. It's not Mr. Nanny. Mr. Nanny is not number 2.
You're an idiot.
I
What
am
the
an
hell?
idiot.
Like you're just lying on
I just lied. I'm sorry.
Jesus.
I don't have paper.
Ugh.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is the rapid fire top 5.
Boom, 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 boom,
All right.
boom, boom.
No Holds Barred.
Boom.
Suburban Commando.
Boom.
Mr. Nanny.
Okay.
Gremlins 2.
Okay.
And Rocky 5. Or I'm sorry, not 5. Rocky 3
Yep, is number 5.
is number 5. Even though it was a better film than the previous 4, it's just a cameo.
I will. Fair. So, top 5 for me.
Mm-hmm.
No holds barred. 2, Thunder in Paradise.
I was going to watch that this week, and I didn't do it, so I took it off my list.
I know there's controversy over that. It's people saying, oh, it was a TV series. Wrong.
No.
The first movie was the pilot to the TV series.
Actually, there's sequels.
Yeah,
Unless-
there's a Thunder in Paradise 2, and I think it all plays over. But all I know is I absolutely loved that movie as a child. And I rewatched it. My wife made fun of me the entire time. But
Mine
you know
too.
what? Fun fact about Thunder in Paradise, not on Vudu, not on Hulu,
Oh,
not on Netflix, but you can find it in its entirety on YouTube. So,
Are you kidding me?
free, no commercials,
Ooh.
start to finish,
Ooh.
high definition, on the TV, looking good, in the beach, all oiled up, Hulk Hogan. So, number 3 for me is Rocky. Cameo, but I will get into later why it is on the 3 on my list. 4, Suburban Commando. 5, Mr. Nanny. We have a couple repeats, couple who didn't have one over the other. You had Gremlins 2, I had Thunder in Paradise.
Right. I actually went through and I watched Suburban Commando this week. I watched Mr. Nanny this week. I was going to watch No Holds Barred, but I've watched that movie so many times in my life that I was like, you know what? In my research of all this, I found other films that I've never seen. Mostly anything that was premiered on TNT and stuff like that.
Straight to TNT.
Yes, I have never seen it. I don't think I finished the movie, but I watched enough of it. A little classic called The Ultimate Weapon.
I don't. That one I'm not really familiar with.
I found this on Amazon Prime, free Amazon Prime. He has short hair, which led me down a road of, did Hogan actually cut his hair, or is this just like a really fancy wig? And there is a time where Hogan did cut his hair.
He did. That's probably, and so that was a WCW NWO era, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. It's probably when that movie was. I don't know if you can call it filmed because of how.
But here's the thing: like, I could have swore this was a TNT movie.
Mm-hmm.
There are tits galore in this.
Oh.
Bare chest, because his daughter works
Brooke?
at a strip club.
Brooke or
Nope,
or
not Brooke. His TV daughter.
Okay, all right.
His work daughter, not his shoot daughter.
I'm going to assume that his shoot daughter probably works at a strip club now because everything's gone downhill for them.
Oh my God! No, she's coming to Fort Wayne.
Oh, well, I'm probably busy that weekend.
Yeah,
washing my hair that weekend.
Yeah,
I don't know this, but yeah, it's things I don't want to know.
I believe she even tried wrestling. I'm not entirely sure how that really worked out. I did not watch TNA.
She probably did try wrestling, and then it probably went horrible. She should just stick with Lou Pearlman and keep singing.
That's true. But I digress. Where are we heading on this train? I talked about a movie I did not have on my list. Let's just go. Let's save No Holds Barred for the end.
For the end, fine. I have some really good points about that movie.
I've got better notes for Suburban Commando than I do for Mr. Nanny, and those are the two that I only have notes for.
Okay. Well, let's just pick one and go for it.
And I'll probably pull it up while we're talking about it, but go to IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
There's a trivia fact.
Oh,
and I read the trivias for every movie.
Every movie.
So, like, I'm sure you've got the same one for Suburban Commando that I have that blew my mind. Who was supposed to originally be in it?
Oh, I don't know if I picked that one up or not.
Really? Oh, I'm super excited to share that one.
Okay.
But, okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
Pick one, let's go.
Okay, let's just start. Let's go through your list. Okay, we'll start at Suburban Commando.
Okay.
No problem.
So, Suburban Commando. This movie was a personal favorite of mine for years. I want to say I saw this in the theater, but I cannot confirm that. I know I definitely saw Mr. Nanny in the theaters.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I saw Suburban Commando.
So, 91, how old were you?
91, I would have been 7?
7. So I would have been 5. Yeah.
Okay.
So not exactly the age where parents are like, we're going to take you to the theater, you know.
Right.
So
my first movie was Bambi, and that was years before. I saw Transformers, the movie, in 1986. I'm trying to remember movies that I seen in the theater in between that time frame. Because, like, my parents weren't real big on taking us to the theater.
Right, because you're some badass kids.
Right,
yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, I got to see the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I was probably there with you. My mom,
Valentine Theater?
It's either Valentine or the mall, of course.
I want to say it's Valentine.
This is first movie ever. Mom works second shift. Next thing I know, Mom's picking me up in the 6, 7 o'clock time. Why is Mom home? Why is Mom home? Oh, we're going somewhere. Next thing you know, I'm seeing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So that's actually my first. Not only was it a good moment with my mother, but it was also the time I ever got to saw the Turtles. Fun fact, I just watched that same movie 2 times this week with my daughter because she requested it.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm like, well, great, full circle.
Raising them right.
I am not fucking it up yet. So.
But Suburban Commando, I would say this is probably like his first starring role besides No Holds Barred.
I would agree with that statement.
Was this considered an indie movie?
New Line. It was a New Line cinema
New Line,
film.
because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one was a New Line film, and it was considered an indie film.
I don't know if it was considered an indie or not.
I don't remember if New Line was bought out by Warner Brothers at this point.
I will say this, that it was released June 23rd, 1991, and it brought in $93,000.
$93,000. Do you know the budget?
I don't know the budget for that one, but I know that it grossed a total of $6.9 million.
Now, I would say it didn't age well.
No.
But it was a damn good movie for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they put money into this.
There were some special effects.
Yeah.
His ship was a little funny to watch looking back on it. Like, his controller, you know, when he was going out, needed like a gyrosphere or some kind of word. I feel like he was making up words that he thought sounded very sci-fi. He's touching 2 buttons, like what would resemble as an Atari controller today.
You think they were Atari? I don't know if you remember, but like Nintendo had a joystick. They looked like the Nintendo joysticks.
They kind of, I would. It's of that era.
Neither here nor there.
Like somebody was paid probably X amount of dollars for for props. And he's just like, oh shit, I forgot to come to work today. And he just grabbed his fucking Nintendo shit and he showed up to work. That's what I really felt was going on when he got to work that day. And that's what Hulk Hogan's like, oh yeah, I can do this. But yes,
Okay, so here's the thing. I didn't take very good notes, which I believe I mentioned earlier.
Yep.
I started this movie. My first note was best rap song ever. And then I stopped taking notes until like 30 minutes later because I was just in the film.
So, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
You know, there's a guy that turns into a fucking lizard in the beginning of that movie. Where did that come from? You know, so
I think I did mention what the fuck kind of knife that was.
I don't know.
It looked like a stainless steel playing card or something.
Yeah, it took a whole hand off. Took the whole hand off.
Yeah.
I like, where are you coming at, bro? Like, that's some like David Blaine shit.
What the hell's his name?
General Suter?
General Suter.
General Suter was his name.
Give it up.
Yeah.
Give it up.
Yeah, he didn't do a bad job at playing a horrible role, but he didn't do an outstanding job either. But General Suter doesn't have a lot of stage time in the movie, but you know, he is that presence that you're like, oh shit.
He's the big baddie.
You want to be, you're aware of him.
Right.
But the intergalactic bounty hunters in that film, one being the Undertaker.
Yes.
Like, they play a much bigger role. I mean, what you get to see what old Shep Ramsey gets to do. You know, what is his power, what are his strengths.
First and only role for The Undertaker, I believe. I didn't actually look that up.
I hope it's his only role.
I remember reading that it was... he did this role because Vince had pushed him to try to raise his star a little bit. So he took this.
It's all a money train.
I'm guessing, because one of my notes, if Vince was trying to get the Taker over in the movie business, then why is this other dude getting all the screen time? Did Mark Calloway suck? Because the other guy was an actual actor. He was not a wrestler, even though he looked really familiar.
His name is Tony Longo.
Correct.
Yes.
And I looked it up. I was like, he's got to be another wrestler. Why would you put one wrestler without...
He's not. But
is not.
That's what I was thinking. Like, was he like was he a jobber? Was he, you know, did he have something? No, he's in other movies as a muscle, of course. But then you got... But he didn't get the speaking role.
No.
The Undertaker got the speaking role.
That's true. Iconic. I'm calling it iconic. I mean, anybody who knows Suburban Commando, this is the first thing that you quote.
You're dead, man, Ramsey.
You're dead, man, Ramsey.
Yeah. Oh.
Is that why you guys never talk?
Yeah. And then, of course, you know, chaos ensues afterwards.
Right. But we're getting way ahead. Because, like, all my notes are as the show goes along.
Okay, great.
So... if you've never seen Suburban Commando, you're going to get a really good summary right now.
Best way to say it, though, would be Shep Ramsey is an interstellar hero, righting wrongs, etc. His ship is damaged after a fight with the interstellar nasty, General Suter, and he must hide out on Earth until he can recharge his ship. Boom. Next thing you know, he pops in like he's goddamn Alf. He jumps in, you know, with the Wilcox family. Played by Christopher Lloyd as the patriarch.
Who I will refer to as Doc Brown.
Doc Brown, you know, great. The mother is Shelley Duvall. You might remember her from The Shining, the mom in The Shining.
That's not even her most popular role. Don't even try to... we all know that olive oil in the Popeye movie...
Jesus Christ, is she olive oil?
She is olive oil.
God damn.
Don't gloss over that fact,
Right.
buddy.
And then they got a couple badass kids, you know, this, that, or other. So he's living in there. Of course, anybody in the suburbia have a house guest that they can rent out in the back. So Shep Ramsey there, he finds himself unable to allow wrongs to go unrighted. Gets in the mixed up with some bad dudes. You know, he's helping out with neighbor issues. He's stopping bank robberies. You know, he's just trying to live a normal life until goddamn Doc Brown screws it all up.
Now, this is where my... I don't know why, but my notes come into play. Like, I waited till now to start taking notes again.
Yeah, right. Makes sense.
So, it's like little things. Do you know what a K7 force field is?
I know it's what keeps mimes inside their little invisible boxes.
Yeah. I love the K7 force field.
And again, I think it's just something he's like, he forgot his line because he fucking Hulk Hogan. He knew nothing but lifting weights and fucking eating steroids and taking fucking prayers.
Taking prayers?
Taking prayers.
Is he God
and
now?
he's just like, K7 force field. You know, and then he punches a mime in the mouth.
Ah!
And then, of course, it's not a real force field, people. He's an actor.
The next note that I have is the galaxy's greatest bounty hunter, and then I thought, was Shep a bounty hunter? I thought he was, but he's just a warrior, isn't he?
I think he would have been more, not a bounty hunter, but maybe just a gun for hire?
Okay. Well, we'll say mercenary.
Is that the same thing? Mercenary is what?
We'll say mercenary. Galaxy's greatest mercenary, and Doc Brown is able to sneak up on him. Like, follow him to his hidey hole.
Just tailing him.
Yeah.
Tailing him.
It's just like, what the hell is that?
An architect who drives a Geo Metro is able to just... La-di-da-di-da-di-da.
And then the next thing is, this is during Doc Brown's fight with the two gentlemen who are
punks.
the punks.
They're referred to as punks.
Oh, they're punks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about that real
Yes,
quick.
go ahead.
This is one of my most noted things about this film is you don't realize it as a child. I didn't realize it as a child. They were gonna rape that girl.
Oh yeah, that was blatantly fucking obvious.
They were gonna rape that girl.
That was one of those things that I noticed that I was like, oh wow, this is dark.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't like robbing her. They weren't trying to take her purse. They're gonna rape that girl.
Oh yeah.
Like, and so IMDb, thank you, giving us like the name of the actor, actresses, and the title of their role. She's known as the hooker. So of course, because all hookers will be raped.
I was gonna say there is nothing in this film that implies that she is a hooker.
No.
And kudos to New Line for putting the character of the hooker in a children's film. I really appreciate
So
that.
like, let's just talk about the era. Okay, I know we kind of spoke about Three Ninjas earlier.
Okay.
Recently have watched Three Ninjas, and then of course the dad in that movie, he's an FBI agent. He's got friends in the FBI. They're trying to find their kids, whatever. So one of them's Middle Eastern. His title, when they're giving the credits in the back, is the Arab agent.
Arab agent.
So you got Arab agent, New Line. You have the hooker. Like, it's a different time.
It is a very different time.
Like, they were probably on the cusp of like, oh yeah, maybe we shouldn't say that, but they still fucking said it. And now they're like, oh, maybe nobody's gonna watch this movie.
Yeah.
We're okay.
Kids don't read.
Kids don't watch the credits.
So in the middle of Charlie Doc Brown saving this hooker. I don't know if you noticed, like, he turns on the things, he fucks around, he gets shot, he still bounces up.
Let's real quick, just to explain what Charlie Wilcox is wearing.
Okay.
He's wearing Shep's armor.
Yes.
Which looks like a glorified power glove.
Yes.
Like a Nintendo power glove.
Two power gloves.
2 power gloves.
A chest plate. He's got a cod piece. Boots.
Oh yeah.
The cod piece comes into play in a little bit here.
It does.
And you probably noticed the same thing I did. But he gets shot in the chest plate. Was able to get up. Well, first off, he's just like rolling on the floor. I'm a turtle. And then he turns it on. Is able to jump right up. The boots blast him up in the air, and he comes down on the two punks. Now, when he backs up, the cameras from the floor up. Why was the codpiece blinking like he had a super hard on?
Oh yeah, I mean it's got to indicate that like, oh
yeah,
this hooker was just offering me.
No lights anywhere else on the suit.
Nope.
But that codpiece is just
because it was under distress.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Because he had a Wilcox wiener in there going ham on the inside.
Okay. All right. Well, we also noticed at the end of the scene he drops a gun off of the boot.
The gun would be considered hand size at most. Kind of looks like, now when I saw it, made me think of Men in Black.
Okay, yeah.
With the cricket gun.
It's a very, very small gun.
Yeah, the very small gun. Same thing. But what does it do? It doesn't blast lasers. It doesn't blast heat waves. It's a freeze gun.
Right.
It's a goddamn freeze gun.
Well, more on that in a little bit, because we got to get there. We have another scene of Shep walking back to the ship and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
We got a girl. My cat.
Oh, my God.
My cat.
Oh, I remember.
Shep is like, what's wrong? And obviously shows, like, there's a cat up in the tree. So he reaches up, bends that tree like it's some sort of rubber tree down.
Yeah, it's not going to break.
Yeah.
Not under intergalactic force.
And I'll tell you, I thought this was funny as shit as a child. But he's like, that's not my cat! And he lets it fly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just like flinging mashed potatoes off your spoon. It just flew.
And then he meets the mime again, who's trying to do the ladder.
Yep.
Now, did you notice anything different with the mime?
I didn't. Not this time. At this point in time, I may have mentally like checked in or checked out. I'm not sure. Like I might have been like, oh, now's a good time to check my Facebook. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna say it didn't happen.
Well, here's the thing. Like earlier, he got punched in the face, right?
Yes.
There is a Band-Aid on the bottom of his chin.
On the bottom.
Like I don't even understand what this was for.
You can't put it on top because of all the mind makeup.
Well, I don't know if this was like their way of like, oh, he's got a neck brace. It's this little Band-Aid on his chin.
Yep.
But it's just like, what the fuck happened to you? Like, what's with the chin Band-Aid? You didn't get slit in the throat. So, I don't know. He gets back to the ship, notices that the stuff's gone. He sees Charlie's crushed camera because when Charlie got into, I'm sorry, Doc Brown. I said I was going to refer to him as Doc Brown.
Just keep going with it. Stay consistent.
Anyways, when he was in Shep's ship, he put on the gauntlet and he crushed his camera accidentally.
Yep, he did.
Well, in this scene, Shep sees the crushed camera, and he knows that it's Charlie. Charlie just did this.
Makes sense because they all just took a photo together, right?
Correct. So
with chocolate cake,
he figures out the gun's gone and everything. Gets with Charlie, and they have to track it down. Did you notice anything weird about this tracking thing?
it's the exact same one that the Ghostbusters used.
It is a PKE meter.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it. I mean, even with the little arms going up and going down and track to the right, track to the left. I mean, it was 100% ripoff of the Ghostbusters.
It's not a ripoff. It's the actual prop.
It's the actual prop. Because as of right now, for listeners, that Adam is just pulling one out because he would have one.
Of course. I mean, I did do the Ghostbuster cosplay for a while there, so you have to have the PKE meter. So, this is exactly what it looked like.
Oh, yeah. That's not even like it's kind of like it.
Yeah.
That's
they
it.
didn't even attempt to change it.
Didn't try spray painting it. Didn't try.
This thing is straight up the same. The only difference is...
Maybe this was Hogan's.
Maybe it was. There's when they would go to the left, only the left ear would pop up. If it goes to the right, only the right ear would pop up. But they did nothing to try to disguise this as not the Ghostbuster prop.
Who made it wasn't New Line, was it?
No, it was Sony. Sony made it.
Okay.
So apparently the PKE meter was just in a prop shop, and they're like, "Oh, we need something that looks
Scientific.
Yeah.
They'll let everybody else do the work for them.
But yeah, that was the funniest thing right there. I think it was actually used in another movie too. I can't remember. I'd have to look up online.
Is there such a thing as prop infringement?
Oh, there's not necessarily prop infringement. They were probably like, "Oh, that's not iconic enough." Yeah, it is.
Maybe not. Yeah, I don't know.
Like I want to know how many dorks back then actually knew.
Yeah, because they're gonna watch one, they're gonna watch the other.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I obviously didn't know.
Right.
But it is what it is, so.
Great. What else you got? What do we have on this Suburban Commando? You're number 2.
Well, hold on. So, we're going to go ahead and we'll gloss over the rest of my stuff here.
All right, what do we got?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Because The Undertaker had a PKE meter. He teaches people to drink antifreeze.
It was one of the... Well, I'll reference this one later, but just the whole... He's pulling out a vial. So he foils a bank robbery because the rapers, the would-be rapers, of course, stole the gun and they're freezing people. And they try hitting old Shep Ramsey with it, and smoke is cleared or the frost is cleared, and next thing you know, he's just downing a vial, like a test tube vial of antifreeze. Just absolutely the most like, it was ridiculous to see. Like, are you kidding me, guys? You couldn't, like, you're making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and you can't come up with something better than that. But you know what? It fit the movie.
I don't know if we'd mentioned, but, like, this gun is being tracked by the 2 bounty hunters.
As well, because we're giving off we're pinging the outer realm. People, so that's why he's got to charge his ship at such a low voltage, so he can't be tracked. Well, goddamn Doc Brown fucked it all up.
Okay, now I'm going to go quick over these because these are points that I just want to mention, and then we can say something quick about. We don't need to spend every time. Jake just pointed out that his note says the tracker looks like something out of Ghostbusters. I did confirm that for him. So I wanted to know if the bounty hunters had a flying beetle ship, then why were they in a just married convertible earlier on in the film?
Right. So, like, I don't know if they were trying to, if they're going to the way of the Terminator, where they're just trying to blend in and not try, they're learning the way of the land, their new environment. But yeah, where were they eating? They were
like a clown burger or something.
Like a clown burger or something. Yeah.
Whoa, dude!
Yep. Oh my god, it was horrible.
Then my next note is this bitch in that revolver.
Oh, the secretary.
The secretary. Like, any chance she got, she whipped that thing out and was going to blow somebody away.
That was the time, man. Like, Second Amendment was really big back in 91. She was packing. And not only was she packing a fucking revolver, every chance she gave, she was giving old fucking Hogan the, like, hey, how about you let me go heels up for you vibe? You know?
Right.
Absolutely. It was a little risque. I mean, they have to know that their target audience is kids, because it's fucking Hulk Hogan, right? No, we're going to go heels up. We're going to have some rape scenes in here, it just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
So anyways, I got some other notes that we've already touched. Then we get to he saves the day.
Of course.
He kills General Suter. Well, who kills it, Charlie or...
Ooh.
No, it was Shep. Shep killed him, electrocuted him. We're going to gloss over the ending.
Because fucking Charlie put the power glove on, grabbed his dick, and turned it into a lizard.
Yes.
And then they electrocuted him through some, breaker panels they had in the old landing strip.
Would it be fair to say that he busted his nuts?
He busted his nuts. He busted a nut and turned into a lizard, like most of us do.
So anyways, we get past that. Suter has been foiled. We're getting to the end of the film.
Yep.
So now you have Shep walking through the street, and my note is this outfit. This fucking outfit.
Oh, yeah.
Were they black or were they red Chucks? I don't remember.
They were like Chuck boots, if you will. Maybe
no, they were Chucks.
They were Chucks.
They were Chucks.
And then he had the jammer pants on.
The Zumbas.
The Zumbas. There we go.
The pajama pants, or not pajama. The
MC Hammer but with the
parachute pants,
tiger
Zumbas.
stripe.
Yep.
Zumba, yes.
They weren't tiger stripe. They were like some sort of African urban print sort of thing.
Why's it got to be African? It was
this
just
bright blue top. It's just like it didn't match.
Honestly, what I'm really surprised with him being from a fucking another galaxy, he's always well dressed. He's really
well dressed.
He's well dressed. I mean, he's dressing the part. And I don't know what kind of currency he's carrying around with him, but it's working.
I would straight up say that Hogan was at the gym that day, and they're
right.
like, "Oh, we need you to film this extra piece." I'm not gonna get dressed, brother.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, well, just wear what you got.
He just got off the motorcycle. Honestly, so he's in those fucking things, and once he pulls out what I would refer to as something I always wanted as a child, the goddamn skateboard.
Yeah, the skateboard from nowhere.
The skateboard out of nowhere. Fucking 1, 2, 3, 8 wheels on it. Fucking exhaust pipes. I don't know what it's exhausting, but gives it to some little kids because not only earlier in the film he took that kid's skateboard and chucked it into fucking the ionosphere. And then now he's repaying, his debt because he got angry because he fell down on his ass. Clearly, Hogan is no Tony Hawk.
Yeah. I don't know how you think when you watch films, but when you saw this skateboard, did you think, how do you turn?
I didn't think that. I just, honestly, as a child, I just remember, I want that skateboard. I just wanted it.
Looks like something out of Ninja Turtles, honestly.
I couldn't even ride a skateboard because we had a stone driveway. I wasn't going anywhere except for the kitchen where I was going to get my ass beat because I fucking probably fell off the thing, busted into a cupboard, this, that, or other. But I always saw things in movies that I really wanted, but there was no practical use in the trailer court that I grew up in.
So he walks on, sees the little girl again. My cat!
Yep.
My cat!
Saving the day.
Again? Mm-hmm. Well, this time it was her cat. He pulls it down. She's like, Fluffy! I don't remember if that's the actual name.
We'll call it.
But she grabs the branch and he lets it go.
Yep.
I do love the part where he's like, get a goldfish!
Yeah. Again, how the fuck does he know what a goldfish is?
Right. Like, he's supposed to be a humanoid alien, but he has a lot of knowledge of alien. And then, after this walking down the street goodbye wrap-up scene, now we're on the top of the building.
I think where he works, I'm pretty sure.
Where Doc Brown worked,
yeah.
That he just quit. So I don't know how you and your family has access to the top of that building.
Through the ship.
To the ship, to the bug ship.
Because what they did is they took the ship from the ground to the top to say their goodbyes.
No, because the ship landed there during the...
shit.
Yep,
You're right.
Ship was already there, so they're taking it. My last note on here is the secretary comes out of the ship.
Oh, yeah.
And she says, "Alrighty, T, ready for blast off."
Mm-hmm.
My question is, who the fuck is T?
Terry.
That's what I thought.
It's Terry.
That's what I thought.
Terry Bollea, or however the hell you say it.
Hogan's
real name. But how does she know him well enough to call him T?
Yeah, like even if that is a flub.
He was dipping in the secretary the entire time they were filming. And I know because it wasn't a family-friendly film because they got rape scenes in there for crying out loud. Oh!
Do you have any other points before I...
We're going to move on to the next one?
Well, no, I got one more fact to drop that might solve all of this.
Okay, Mike. Just a couple of scenes that were just... So he ended up going to the arcade.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we were talking earlier when he was seeing the K7 force field.
Yep.
And the kid is playing Afterburner.
Yes.
Okay, so like you, I, maybe some of our listeners will know that Afterburner was a cool game. Okay, it was cool in the sense that the controls of it, they had the nice, like the joystick that wasn't just on the machine itself, but it kind of like, it boomed out and it was flexible, whatever. You're flying an F-16, you know. It was just one of those scenes that just made me laugh because he's saying things and this kid is responding like, no, dude, you got missiles and you got bullets. And he's talking about phasers and photons. And this kid's like, yeah, your thrusters. I don't know, man.
Gotta save the galaxy and everything.
Yeah, the galaxy. No, dude, we're fighting the Russians.
Yes. Like, I almost made that note too, but I thought it was way too nitpicky.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, you're playing a game that's set on Earth, but you're talking about interplanetary.
I'm going deep into it, man.
Yes.
Like, they could at least went to Galaga.
What was the name of the enemy on that? I can't remember.
On Afterburner?
No, in the scene.
Oh, I do not. Oh,
Give it up! Give it up! I can't remember the guy's name.
I don't remember what he said.
Doesn't matter.
But next thing you know, he got the high score. He would, because he's a fucking...
Mm-hmm.
He's a gun for hire in intergalactic turmoil. So is that where we at? We're done with Suburban or what?
We are not.
What do you got? You got one
final
more
thing,
you
which I'm surprised you didn't know.
I want to make sure, going through my notes, that I've hit it.
Suburban Commando was originally written to star Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito as a follow-up to Twins.
So what they do instead, Junior?
Yes. Yes.
So you got goddamn Christopher Lloyd and Hulk Hogan stepping in for the DeVito Schwarzenegger combo.
Obviously, DeVito would have been Charlie.
Oh,
and Schwarzenegger would have been Shep.
Yep.
So that's why a lot of the adult jokes in this, because I think it was spun as a kids movie after the fact.
Because we're putting Hogan in there, and our demographic is going to change
Correct.
a little bit.
But they did a real shitty job at adapting the script and kept a lot of adult jokes in there.
That is by far one of the greatest things I've ever heard. That was in the IMDb. I'm surprised I missed that.
I think that's where I read that, yeah.
That is great.
I've read it multiple times.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
It does.
It really does.
But instead of making Suburban Commando, they made Junior. Where Arnold Schwarzenegger gets pregnant.
Yeah.
Any childs of mothers of
Not seeing a problem here.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But what year was Junior? That was like early to mid 90s.
That's probably more mid. I remember like.
And I can't remember when Twins was. 86, 87. Who cares?
That was in the 80s?
Yeah, it was
okay.
80s.
All right.
So this movie's been around for a minute before it got to Hogan for 91.
Oh yeah.
So.
And of course, but their claim to fame though is like, they're crabbing up fucking Christopher Lloyd. We just got through our Back to the Future trilogy. He's through the roof.
Yep. I mean, he's still playing his interesting characters. He hasn't been pigeonholed into Doc Brown yet.
No.
I mean, at this point, we had Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future 2. I don't remember if Back to the Future 3 is out at this point.
91, it wouldn't have been out yet, you don't think?
I want to say it was 92. I can't believe I even have to look, because Back to the Future 2 was 89? We'll just put it in the Google machine real quick.
Yeah, the old Google machine.
Yes, we're looking up the year for a movie that we're not even talking about.
No, that's how deep we're going.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1990.
All right,
was
fuck
3.
It.
So...
Show's over. Adam was wrong.
He
says.
All right.
So
let's put that one on the fucking back burner. We spent way too much time on it.
So
that's
your number 2, my number 4. All I can say is it didn't hold water over the years.
No.
But I remember as watching that film, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it was a preview on the VHS for the Turtles film.
I would believe that.
For the first Turtles film. And there was that, and there was another movie as well, but that one was like, I remember being so excited for, and I'm not talking about in the theater, but on the actual, like, your home copy, which would make sense because if it came out in 91, Turtles came out in the 90-91 area. I think 90.
Let me double check that, but I would believe that you probably saw a preview for Turtles 2.
I don't know, man. I do remember the Pizza Hut commercial when they're playing baseball. Oh.
You know, I'm not even going to look that up because it's way too much. But yeah, now we're moving on to Mr. Nanny, I believe.
Mr. Nanny would be your number 3. My number 5, your number 3.
Okay. Mr. Nanny. Here's my thing with Mr. Nanny. Did you notice, like, was this one that you rewatched?
I watched all of these.
Okay, you watched all of these.
I did not.
You did your due diligence, and
yeah,
you watched...
I did what I needed to do to make sure that I was coming here prepared.
So...
Unlike the other 50% in this room.
I don't know what you're talking about. Did you notice that basically throughout this entire commercial... I'm sorry, not commercial. Movie. This is going to a commercial. Then throughout this entire movie, it looked like it was the same wardrobe from the Right Guard commercial. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Because he had a white T-shirt on and blue jeans?
No, just the way he talked and everything. It just seemed like it was the Right Guard commercial.
I don't remember the Right Guard commercial.
Hold on. Anything else would be uncivilized.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, he did. Because when he was talking about tea, and he was... I'm going to assume at this point in time in Hogan's career, he might have started seeing an action coach.
Possibly.
I would guess that maybe he was thinking, all right, here I go. This is starting to kick off. I got an old hold Bard in there. I got Suburban Commando in there.
In trying to make an artistic statement, one should be careful not to let one's personal aroma do the talking.
Okay,
In order not to offend the critics, I recommend Right Guard Sports Stick. It provides maximum protection and the freshest scents, a sublime palette of odoriferous emanations. After all, a true artiste should be remembered for his inspiration, not his perspiration. Right Guard Sports Stick. Anything less? WWF 8. If you call right now, you'll get exclusive WrestleMania 8 interview.
Oh my God. So before that, I didn't remember it. Now that just hit me like a fucking wave. Like, I remember that. I didn't watch that, but
I remember that
I
being
could see
my
what you mean,
favorite
like
commercial during that time, just because I was such a hardcore Hulk Hogan mark.
So the best part is, you loved it.
Mm-hmm.
We were not ready for deodorant yet.
Not at all.
No, that wasn't where we were in the game of life.
I think probably the first deodorant I had was Right Guard because of this shit.
I know for a fact that my first deodorant was a Right Guard because they get free samples of school.
Oh,
so, yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, 4th grade we had an assembly where they put all the boys together.
That's how you hook them.
Yeah. You take, all the boys to this part, all the girls here, talk about our ever-changing bodies. Next thing you know, if Hulk Hogan would have gave me the Right Guard that day, I would have been Right Guard for life.
So, Mr. Nanny, what do you got?
What do I have? All right.
What's your stats? What's your background? What do you got?
All right. Budget for this film, $10 million.
Okay.
Grossed $4.2 million.
I will say that I've seen this movie in the theater.
Okay.
But I believe it was due to my grandmother winning free tickets off the radio.
That makes sense.
Now, I don't remember if it was at the Valentine Theater, which here in Defiance, we had 2 theaters. There was the Valentine Theater, which was an older theater.
Yep.
It was on the decline, unfortunately. It is no longer with us. It is now a church. And then also, we had the multiplex theater at the mall.
Yep.
I believe this one was at the Valentine.
The Valentine. There's a couple movies that I very distinctly remember seeing at the Valentine. A Chuck Norris movie.
Really?
I went with my grandpa. The one that had it's not Devon Sawa, but what was that kid's name? Anyways, martial arts movie. It was. But
what the hell was Kickback?
Kickback. There we
go.
Yep, that was it. That was the last time I remember going to the Valentine Theater. Anywho's, so Mr. Nanny, $10 million budget, $4.2 million gross.
Boo! Boom!
That's just the United States, though. So,
okay. So
I mean.
Japan could have...
They probably could have kicked it up.
Yeah.
Japan love anything American. So.
Did they? Did they love it?
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Oh, okay.
So, but premise of this movie is a friend persuades former wrestler star Sean to do a job as a bodyguard for 2 kids. The manager who got him to do the job was Frank Mason. So he had Sherman Wilson hire ex-wrestler Hogan, which his name is Sean Armstrong, to come bodyguard these kids because... Of course, the dad, Alex Mason, there we go.
Yep.
He is a computer genius, and he's got this microchip for these Scud missiles that are take down any kind of Russian missile coming in and take out American lives. You got to think, this movie came out in 93. Not many people know anything about a microchip. It's all new to them. The internet's not really a thing. So anything in Silicon Valley.
Microchips were like a lot of plot points. I turned these alerts off. What the hell's going on? Anyways, it was the plot point in a lot of films. Like, I can't get the microchip.
Because they don't know, nobody knows anything else. Now if you say, it's the microchip, I'd be like, all right, got you. Okay. There doesn't hold water.
Right.
So anyways, somebody's threatening this Alex Mason, and they want to make sure their kids are good, which is all fine and dandy. He said, I'll do the job for you. Well, there's a nanny. Then, of course, these are some badass kids who run out the nannies, left and right. And next thing you know, he's left with these 2 kids, and not only is he bodyguarding, but he's also being a nanny for. The tagline for this film is, he's big, he's bad, and he's babysitting. He doesn't stand a chance. Like, again, that is so bad.
Now, I want to tell you, because I know that your daughter does ballet.
Yep, ballet, gymnastics.
Anytime I see this poster, I think of your family.
Mm-hmm. That I can see it. I'm living it, and I hope it's not true. Because let's go through the cast. All right, let's just go through the cast, top to bottom.
Okay, here we go.
So Hogan, the bodyguard, the nanny, Sean Armstrong. Sherman Wilson would be Bert Wilson. This is George Jefferson, of course. David Johansen is the villain. Tommy Thanatos is the singer for the New York Dolls.
Also,
taxi driver.
Buster. Oh, that's true. He was a taxi driver in Scrooge.
Yep.
Oh my God, people, quit talking. Sorry, I have to do something here.
I'll just keep going through that as you're doing that.
Go ahead. Yeah, I was going to say he's Buster Poindexter.
And then we got, Buster Poindexter. You have Alex Mason Sr., who is the dad, who does the hiring, the Bill Gates, if you will. You might remember him from movies such as My Cousin Vinny. He did a short stint in the HBO series Oz, and he was in that great Steve Martin film, starring Bilko. Alex Mason Jr., he was in the movie Rookie of the Year, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. He was kind of a fat little pudgy kid, but he is the Dennis the Menace. He's coming up with the gadgets that are going to electrocute you.
Oh, yeah.
They're gonna...
He's the MacGyver.
Yeah, he's
the MacGyver of mayhem?
Yeah, he's the one running these nannies out, and ultimately he's getting the Hogan. Here's my favorite one. The little girl.
Yeah.
Do you know who she is?
I know who she is. I had to look it up. But...
Do you know where she turned into?
I didn't watch that movie or that show, but
you
yes.
Did it? Okay.
No.
So Kate Mason, played by Madeline Zima, was in the show Californication. And then certainly, first episode, pilot episode, you see what is this little girl that turns into the teenage girl, fucking David Duchovny, and punching him in the face, tits out, and it was just like, when I saw that, I was like, that's the same girl that I saw her tits later in life. I couldn't watch the movie the rest of the way, thinking, oh my God, it's so weird to see her as a child, and then, next thing you know, tits out, riding a cock, and then punches some dude in the face. It was weird.
Wasn't she also the little girl in Doubtfire?
No, that was Matilda.
Okay, she's in another film. I checked out her IMDb, and I was like, oh, she's that girl, too.
She was in Hand That Rocked the Cradle, I believe.
Come on. No.
Yeah, because she deals with all these fucking sex movies, and that makes her fucking want to go tits out as an adult.
We're just going to write this tits out thing.
She was tits out a lot. And I was not uncomfortable with it until I realized it was her and Mr. Nanny.
Oh, yeah. What was her name?
The Madeline Zima.
Madeline Zima.
But, these kids, they're acting up because they have abandonment issues, the dead mom, father who's always working. One thing that I want to note, though, is Hogan's always having, wrestling PTSD, basically. He's always having flashbacks of just getting pounded by other wrestlers. So, going through this list, Hogan pays tribute to the other wrestlers. He's always got him in his films. He had Beefcake, which I knew was always...
Beefcake's been in almost every film he's done.
Because they're really good friends in life. I knew that.
Yep.
He brought on Neidhart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Kamala.
Yep.
Some of the head shrinkers.
She was a child off The Nanny.
The Nanny.
The Nanny.
Oh, my God.
The Nanny.
Oh, my God. And then George the Animal Steel was on there as well.
I have 30 minutes in 2 songs by David Johansen had played.
Yep.
Turns out he was not only the villain, but also the composer under his Buster Poindexter persona.
Yes, he was. And you could just, like, listen to the music. You're like, there's no way this music could be in this film. It wasn't, like, outrageous, but you could just tell there was an edge to it. And that explains the edge.
Yes.
It really does. But the best part about this movie, you know, I don't want to go through, like, start to end, but because he shows up, somebody kidnaps the kids, but he saves the day.
Yes.
There is one thing I want to talk about this film, and the reason why. This film has been done before, but he was the first one to do it. So, like, go fast forward to, 10, 12, 13 years later, Vin Diesel did it. In The Pacifier.
Oh.
It's the same movie premise, but Hogan did it first. The Rock did something like this, where he was babysitting, bodyguarding some kids, and yada, yada, yada. But fucking Hogan did it first. So, like, as much as we want to make fun of this movie, kind of, right? Hogan did it first. So, like, whatever recipe that they created back in 93, it translated to years later. That's one of the only thing I really want to say about this film, really.
Now, I'll be truthful.
Uh-huh.
I was making notes during this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and about midway through, I just seen too many, like, pumping and lifting that I just stopped making notes and just started, like, lifting. So I watched the rest while lifting my dumbbells and everything. I'm still a fat fuck. Don't get anything wrong there.
You gotta watch Mission Annie at least 100 times to see results.
My only note that I'd like to talk about. So, during one of the parts where they're torturing
Sean Armstrong.
You
gotta think of the bench where because he went to the same school as these kids, and he was in the detention bench, and he had an SA carved in with a paperclip.
Yep.
And I remember as a child, after seeing this movie, that I had a paperclip at my school desk, and I was like, could I make it look that nice? And I remember carving into my fucking school desk because of this movie with a paperclip.
Thanks, Hogan.
And no, I was not getting the same results that he got.
One of the parts where he's being tortured, they put an electromagnet underneath the weight bench.
Yep.
So, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. They're reversing and turning on the magnet.
Taking away, giving power, yeah.
Now, if anybody knows anything on how magnets actually work, that is not how that works.
Nope.
In fact, the note that I have is, that's not how magnets work. Scene must have been written by a juggalo.
How do magnets work? I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I mean, before a juggalo, but it had to be.
It's so weird that you actually even brought that up because a little anecdotal comment here. My 5-year-old daughter just asked me how magnets work the other day. And I said, I don't know. Ask a juggalo. I swear to God, I cannot make that up. I thought about calling your wife because we all know that your wife is a well-renowned juggalo.
Yes.
Yes. So.
She runs with the hatchet.
Uh-huh.
She goes to the happenings.
The Dark Carnival is her life.
The Gathering is what they call it. Her dad one day was just like, I want to go to the happening. And she's like, what are you talking about? The happening. They have it every year. And she's like, are you talking about the Gathering? Yeah, the Gathering. He just wants to see what it's about. Kind of like, I want to go to Wetzel someday, but just to see what it's about, not to live it.
Yeah.
This year's the closest that I've ever been to actually going to Wetzel.
Really?
Because Friday is Fuel and Saliva. It's not even the Saliva I want to watch, but I want to see Fuel.
Right. So, but it's close.
Yep. It's not Leonard Skinner.
No.
It's not Ted Nugent.
No.
It's fucking Fuel.
And hopefully they're playing during the day, not at night when everybody's all fucked up. And,
fingers crossed.
Yeah.
My wife was like, yeah, I want to spend the weekend at Wetzel. And I said, bitch, I didn't say anything but a weekend.
Oh, no. They find bodies.
You get one night.
Yeah. That is not where I'd want to go. My mom went to Wetzel, and I didn't know what that was when I was a kid. Now that I'm a little bit older and I know what goes on at Wetzel, I can't look my own fucking mother in the eye.
You don't want to ask her about pictures from then?
No! I just, hearing stories of old ladies just taking double dildos, like, into both holes at the same time with a crowd around them.
Your mom just comes home, gives you a handful of beads, and you're just happy to have it.
There was a cup. There was a cup, like a cup, and it had Wetzel on it. And it was my favorite milk cup after school. Now I'm like, they're so dirty. So
What did
dirty.
she have to do to get that cup, Jake?
I don't know.
What
And
did
I
she
don't
have
want to
to
know.
do?
No, but no, she's no longer allowed to watch my kids. Let's just say that.
All right.
Okay.
Your
So,
mom's a nice lady.
She was. She was until she went to Wetzel.
Oh.
Oh, man. Let's not forget the fact that Thanatos had a chrome dome in this whole movie.
Yeah,
Because
yes.
there's history there, right? Not only was he back in the wrestling promoting game and he tried getting Hogan to throw a match, but, you know, their integrity is so intact that we don't do that, man.
Right.
And they tried to shoot Hogan, but George Jefferson took the bullet for him. And then, of course, he threw him off the building into an empty pool. Now he has a chrome dome. X amount of years later, he's back in... Now he's going after microchips, you know? So he's gotten out of the wrestling promoting gig into microchips, computer chips or whatever.
Makes sense.
And, you know, when he gets stressed, he gets a migraine and he's crazy. And then all he has to do is just turn his head down and charge you like he's the fucking juggernaut. And he's unstoppable. He's unstoppable.
Yes.
Like, I don't see how that logic works, but as a kid, it was intense.
The funny thing that you bring up is that he was going to get shot for not throwing the fight.
Yes.
Now,
It cost him money. It was money. It's a money game,
money.
remember.
Let me tell you why this is funny now. Because back then we were still in kayfabe.
Okay.
So matches were real.
They were real.
Now, in the day where smart marks and we know everything,
Uh-huh.
we know that professional wrestling, there is no actual wrestling. It's all predetermined. So, knowing this, do you think Hogan went into business for himself?
No?
Do you think it was justified that he should have been shot at? Because if he was supposed to throw the fight, that was the predetermined ending.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
I'm just saying, he might not be the bad guy that he's being made out to be.
he might not be. But he had really curly hair in that flashback, and I would have shot him for that too.
I would have.
Because he looked absolutely ridiculous.
I feel like they made a wig for on top of the dome wig.
I think they might have shot the same scene when he was doing ballet with a little girl. The same day that they shot the flashback scene. And they're like, oh shit, we forgot we curled his hair. Like, well, I'll keep it.
See, I thought you were talking about Thanatos.
Thanatos.
Thanatos. I
Not
thought
to
you were
be
talking about him
mistaken.
because, like, the flashback, he had a mound of hair that was obviously fake.
Uh-huh.
Like, I thought, like, they put a wig over top of his dome piece.
Oh.
That's how bad it looked. Didn't even look real.
Yeah, they weren't even trying to, like, do two separate sets of makeup and design. Yeah. No. That makes sense.
They were like, oh, it was the 80s. Everybody had big hair then. And this was, like, only removed by 4 years from the 80s. It's like, that's not even a joke anymore.
Well, it may have been. If the 80s, because if the movie came out in 93 and they're flashing back, that would have been the 80s.
Yeah, I guess. But I'm just saying, like, in the 90s, 80s wasn't known for, like, the big, goofy-looking hair yet. I don't think.
The 90s or the 80s?
We're in the 90s.
We're in the 90s.
We're in the 90s.
Right.
Talking about the 80s.
Right. The 80s were known for big hair.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You see what I'm
All right.
saying?
I get what you're saying.
There's hair metal bands.
Well, yes. And that is what we know as of right now. Like, we're looking back now. We acknowledge that. But I think it was too close.
You don't think that stigma was like 7 years ago they wore their fucking hair big?
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
What could we even relate that to today? Like, what would he say about 7 years ago? I can't even think of anything. So I see what you mean. Like,
Crocs.
I have a pair of Crocs today, so I don't want to hear it. Like,
in 10 years,
I
they're
got
going to be making fun of you motherfuckers.
I get it every day, and I'm okay because they're comfortable as hell, and I don't wear them outside the house. That's the key. Just wear them around the house.
Okay.
So
you can't wear Crocs out.
It's
It's like pajama pants. You're not supposed to wear those out either.
no, I don't. No. Okay, I have worn the Crocs out of the house, but only to go through a drive-through. All right, so because I got standards,
Okay. All right.
and I pray to God while I'm driving, I don't get a flat tire, I don't get in a car accident, and if I do get in an accident, please let me die, because I don't want to. I would chuck those into a field. I was like, no, those aren't my Crocs. Well, you're barefooted. No, I
always drive.
I always drive barefooted. That's probably why I got the accident. Cite me now, please. Please don't go look in that field where my Crocs are. All right, are we done with Mr. Nanny?
We're done with Mr. Nanny.
So,
yep.
In all of its greatness.
So, everything that I got left is cameos. And then we also got No Holds Barred that we're going to hit. And we'll do that last.
Both of our number ones.
Yo-yos.
So, I will segue over into One of my favorites as a child was Thunder in Paradise. Now, I know you did a poll. You did a poll.
I did have a poll.
You did one on Facebook, and then there were some people who were saying, "Well, you can't do fucking Thunder in Paradise because it was a TV series." Nay, I say.
Disagree,
because Thunder in Paradise was actually a movie first, which what I found out later was the pilot to the TV series. So,
and it also had additional movies and sequels and stuff. So, yes, it did have a series, but it doesn't mean that the series is the only thing that's there. But yes, Thunder in Paradise, the only thing that I know about Thunder in Paradise is it's on a boat.
It's on a boat.
Originally, this was going to be my number 5 by proxy, because I literally couldn't think of anything else. And then somebody was like, Rocky 3. And it's like, oh, Jesus, yeah, Rocky 3 has to be on there. Like,
yeah. Thunder Lips.
Yes, so Thunder in Paradise got bumped off for me, so it didn't make my cut. But
I loved it.
Okay.
It was one of my go-to. Like, another thing I learned was the same people who produced Baywatch produced Thunder in Paradise.
Makes sense.
You look at the fucking boat, same fucking boats.
Really?
Yeah, same, like the Scarab boat. I don't know if that's how you say the name properly, but the big badass boats, same one. It gets pretty obvious. Premise of the show is, ex-Navy SEAL, smart guy, wants to come up with some kind of machine that's going to help the Navy SEALs, trying to sell it to the government. They don't want to buy it, so he's low on money because he put all his money into the fucking boat, but he's got no more money.
So this is about a boat.
It's about a boat.
Okay, so the boat is the center.
They call the boat Thunder.
Okay.
The name of the boat is Thunder.
Oh my God.
So where are we? We're in paradise, baby. So we are in Thunder in Paradise.
That all got put together in my head right there, and I'm very upset.
I cannot believe you missed all that.
Yep.
But so RJ Hurricane Spencer is an ex-Navy SEAL and confirmed bachelor struggling to make ends meet. In order to save his superboat Thunder and ultimately his business, Spencer is forced into a marriage of convenience with snobby Megan Whitaker. When Megan gets kidnapped, it's up to Spencer and his partner Brew to save the day or to risk losing everything. Okay, so this boat is basically the Kip of fucking boats, right?
Is it sentient?
What's that?
Is it sentient? Does it have a personality, or is it just?
It doesn't talk. But
okay,
it's a smart.
Gotcha.
This boat makes NASA's command central look like a crack whore waitress at IHOP, right?
Oh.
So it's got everything.
Okay.
We got smart fucking Scud missiles. We can shoot wave runners out the back of it. It's got
a nautical command center.
It's got an invisible cloak.
Huh.
It's the boat of boats. One thing that you do notice in that movie, and I'll translate this, is in the beginning he's got an eye patch on. Hogan does, because his eye is completely black. Not bruised around the eye, but the eyeball itself is black. Now, you want to fucking fast forward to WrestleMania 9 in Las Vegas. What does Hogan's eye look like?
It's black.
It's black. Now, what year was that? I'll tell you about 94, 93, 94 era, because that's when this fucking movie came out.
Huh.
Who did Giant Gonzalez face in WrestleMania 9? I'll tell you, I'm telling you, he lost it because the guy he was facing never lost until later. Undertaker.
Oh, yeah.
So Giant Gonzalez was in that movie.
Really?
He was one of the Muscle, right? So for the villain of the movie's Muscle was Giant Gonzalez.
Okay.
So it just kind of you want to look at the time, who is Hogan seeing in the fucking wrestling scene, and next thing you know, they're in his movie as well. And I don't know. It all just kind of oh, that makes sense. He was seeing him in the WWE. Oh, now he's seeing him on the movie set. He's like, I'll bring you with him. There's other wrestlers as well. You got Brutus. And
of course.
And the Anvil.
Really?
Yep, Anvil's on there. Arm wrestling contest, right? Why would you do anything different? But so ultimately, he needs the money for this fucking boat. He gets forced into a marriage. His now stepdaughter, who he was friends with before, because he's Hogan, he gives her a necklace that he finds in the belly of a shark. And then somebody takes a picture of her, and it gets posted in the paper, and somebody realizes, hey, that necklace, that's actually a secret map to a fucking treasure.
Of course.
Why would it not be?
I mean, that's logical.
Yep. So, lo and behold, the necklace gets stolen. Hogan gets thrown through a boat, through Giant Gonzalez, and they need to go get this fucking necklace back, and they ended up following the map, because they got the necklace back, follow the map, find the treasure, get caught in a cave, and then Hogan's doing some fucking deep sea breathing, and then he's got some fucking nightsticks, and he's in a goddamn Speedo, and they gotta swim through this cave that they're in to fresh water. It was very Hogan. And, you know, then his new wife she's now into a fucking bikini, and his right-hand man, Brutus, if you will, he's also in a Speedo. There's just a lot of man Speedo going on. Which you wouldn't really think is a big deal because it's Hogan, but, like, it was a little more risque than wrestling tights.
Right, definitely.
I could definitely say that. It's the basic premise, but as a child, it was a great movie. Watching it now, my wife made fun of me the entire time I was watching it.
Yeah, my wife was making fun of me the whole time we watched Mr. Nanny together.
Mm-hmm.
She did not get invited back to Suburban Commando.
Yeah.
And she lucked out.
Know your place,
no
motherfucker.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I heard, are you fucking serious? Like,
yep.
Are you fucking, really? Are you really gonna do this? Yeah, bitch, I am. Shut your ass. Like, I don't make fun of you doing your bullshit, I don't know what she does. I should probably talk to her more often. But anyway. So just some notable things that I noticed through this movie. It was definitely Hogan's eye.
Now, does that get fixed later on?
They say it was Neidhart that did it. Jim the Anvil. They say Neidhart did it, jumped him on the beach, punched him in the eye. And then that's where the new arm wrestling match comes from, you know, like the redemption arm wrestling match. Because Neidhart actually takes out Brutus on a fucking arm wrestling match on the beach in front of a little Cabo Wabo kind of booze hut, if you will. And then, you know, they're face to face in arm wrestling. And then, in true Hogan fashion, to show him that he wasn't scared of him, he takes off the eye patch and reveals the busted ass eye. And then, of course, he overtakes him. And then the crowd goes wild. You know, if they could lift him up, they would. But he probably picked up a girl or two, you know, because he's the suave ass.
You can't lift me, but I'll lift you.
I'll lift you, you sons of bitches. Oh, man. This movie really has no names in it. Like, Hogan is the name of this movie.
I thought there was another one. I thought there was like a sidekick. Is there not?
There is. He's in some other things. Brutus. His name is Martin Brubaker. Is played by Chris Lemon. He's kind of not really notable. I check him out on IMDb. Nothing that's going to stick out. I'm like, oh, I remember that guy. If I ever saw that guy again, I would say, oh, that was a dude in Thunder in Paradise. Like, I wouldn't be able to, like, point him out anywhere. But, you know, he's like your average, typical size guy.
Okay.
The really funny thing is he crossed his arms a lot, right? He crossed his arms a lot, trying to, like, beef out his biceps a little bit because he's, like, standing in comparison to Hogan.
Yeah, I can see that. So you gotta keep up with him and not look weaker than him.
Right, exactly. Like, well, I'm really actually just an average, normal looking guy, but here I go. I'm trying to get some camera time. And the reason why he's helping him out, because he's an MIT graduate, but he's an ex-Navy SEAL as well. But Hogan took a bullet for him. Not much unlike Mr. Nanny when fucking George Jefferson took a bullet for Hogan, you know. So the guideline of, like, true camaraderie is, like, I took a bullet for you and I owe you, you know.
You think this is in Hogan's writer? Like, yeah, hey, we'd love to have you do a movie. Cool. These are the points that I want, brother.
Yeah, like, I need somebody to take a bullet for somebody, and, you know, like, I don't know. So that was just two things that I noticed, like, when you want to compare, after going through all these movies in a week, like, oh, these are some plot lines or, you know, key points that are kind of similar in every single film. So that was...
So, in order to have Hogan in your film, it has to be... Yep. You have to take a bullet.
Mm-hmm. Somebody has to take a bullet.
Brutus is instantly in it.
A beefcake, always in it.
I mean, he wasn't in No Holds Barred because they haven't had their love fest yet.
No.
But I definitely saw him in Mr. Nanny.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him in The Ultimate Weapon. Okay. I'm pretty sure I saw him in Suburban Commando, but I cannot prove that.
Okay. Non-credit. It makes sense. So you would think in Suburban Commando, part of the bounty hunters would have been Taker, and the other one should have been Brutus.
Oh, yeah.
You would have just made sense.
Oh, yeah.
The guy that they got, Tony Paco, or rather Tony Longo, I can't remember his name, kind of looked like Brutus. If you look at, facial features, you could kind of see the similarity. Maybe he was out with the flu when they were filming that movie in 2 days.
I mean, Brutus had his face caved in. So
you think this is the masked era when he had the giant fucking plastic ass mask?
It might not even be the era where he has the mask. I think he literally is probably recovering from having his face caved in.
What was that from? Motorcycle accident?
No, it was a parasailing accident. Somebody was parasailing, and he came up out of the water, and this lady double-kneed him right in the face.
Yeah.
I read about it, and it was just, oh no, I heard about it on a podcast.
Where else would you hear anything?
And just imagining it, because every bone in his face was just obliterated. Somebody had to stick their fingers down his mouth just so he could breathe, try to keep it open. Like, it is face putty.
Face putty.
Face putty.
Face putty Brutus, and he's really into haircuts.
Yes.
How was his hair?
Probably business in the front and party in the back.
Party in the back. That makes sense. So maybe that is. We'll have to do a follow up and look into that. See when did he get
5 Brutus movies.
We have to figure out when he got fucked up versus when they shot this movie, and maybe they coincide.
Possibly.
You know, that would make sense. Or I'm sorry, when they shot Suburban Commando. So, but Thunder in Paradise was ultimately one of those movies that I always loved to watch as a child. So that's why it held so high. And it might have been at that age where I was really starting to get into girls, and there's a lot of bikinis going on too. That might have had like a subconscious kind of.
I watched a lot of Baywatch around that time, so that makes sense. Man.
it all kind of flows together. That's all I got on Thunder in Paradise.
All right. Well, the next one we'll go on my list would be Gremlins 2.
And I will be the first to admit, I don't remember anything about Gremlins 2.
Oh my God. We're not going to spend too much time on this movie, but basically, we're in Manhattan.
Yep.
Billy's got a soul-sucking job as an architect somewhere. Gizmo comes along, gets water spilled on him. We have gremlins.
Can't do that.
They take over a building.
Uh-huh.
But the cameo with Hogan is about 3/4 of the way through. The film just rips apart. And it's like, oh, what the hell? You're in the theater. You think, like, the film just burned through. Well, then we go to a scene in a movie theater. These people come up and they're like, sir, sorry to bother you right now, but we have a situation. I was hoping you could help us with it. And up stands Hogan out of the theater seat. And they're like, there's gremlins in the projection booth. And you see there's gremlins just up there ripping the throne to shreds.
Just doing gremlin things.
And Hogan just cuts a promo. He's just like, hey! And, does his thing. I couldn't tell you what he actually said because I didn't watch it.
Do you remember it?
This is, like, my list is just done off of memory. Like, this is what I grew up with. I did this list just off of intuition, and then I watched it. And then we'll, later on, we'll go back through, and I'll tell you what the list should be off of actual quality on my list.
Right.
But, I mean, like, Gremlins 2, it was a cash-in, but it was a decent film. That is why that is my number 4.
Okay. And your number 5?
My number 5
is my number 3.
Is your number 3.
Right.
This movie is fantastic. I've recently rewatched all the Rocky movies. I went from Rocky to Creed 2. And
I haven't seen Creed 2 yet, but if you skip over 5 and you got a good fucking series.
Yep, 5 was the only time that I almost shut it off, but I pushed through.
You gotta get through it.
Eye of the Tiger to get through 5.
Tommy Gunn.
But Thunderlips!
Oh, Thunderlips fucking Hogan. So, Rocky 3. Released 1982. Third installment of the Rocky series. This is when Rocky comes back. He's shredded, right? He's established him. He's already failed to Apollo, but now he's triumphed over Apollo. Now he's on his championship run. So he's got a little fame to his game. He's going through. He's boxing here and there. Next thing you know, he's kind of a household name. It's time for an exhibition.
Yep.
And who else? How would you do a fundraising exhibition, but with a wrestler? A boxer versus wrestler. My favorite part is the stand-up. When they got the judge, or the ref, explaining the rules, and then Stallone's short fucking 5'8" ass is looking straight ahead, basically somewhere between Hogan's belly button and his sternum. Just Hogan, of course, is playing that heel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the character that we don't know Hogan as yet.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you think this was, you said 82?
82.
Hulkamania didn't run wild till 84.
Yeah, this is pre-Hulkamania. So this might have very well been the introduction of Hulk Hogan to, the United States. Because at that point in time, I would assume that the WWE was still fairly regional.
I believe it was the WWF at the time.
Okay, and that would have been more of a Northeast territory. Yep, up in New York and up that way. People don't really know who Hogan really is. Of course, at that point in time, they all kind of travel from territory to territory, but this is going to be on a larger scale. Thunder Lips, white chocolate. God's gift to women, if you will. This is why I want to go into why I made it my number 3. And this is a fucking theory that's never been tested, like I said before. Rocky 3 is released in 1982.
Okay.
Who's in Rocky 3?
Mr. T.
Mr. fucking T.
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania 1 is in 1985. So I have a theory that relationships created on the set of Rocky 3 is what transformed to Mr. T being in the WWE's WrestleMania number 1. And WrestleMania 1 was a big deal because they got a lot of celebrity power to back them. Of course, Mr. T was doing the A-Team, between, the 82, 83, 84, 85 era. So I think that Hogan met fucking Rocky on that set and was his in. I'm gonna throw it out there. I think that's how they met that was the introduction, which was helping the star power for WrestleMania 1, which ultimately shot WWF at the time into the stardom that it became.
I'm not going to shoot down this theory,
It's a theory.
because I don't recall offhand, but I did read Hogan's autobiography years upon years ago. I know Mr. T was not the most easiest to work with.
It was not.
And
Piper hated him.
Oh yeah, yep. Piper wanted to actually kill that motherfucker.
Yeah, there was a shoot on that. Like,
I don't think Hogan and T were best buds, but yeah, you're right. It probably was some sort of carryover from that. Mr. T's star was on the rise due to the A-Team and whatnot, and the WWF wanted to cash in. So,
yeah, and I really, and so at that point in time, Hulkamania is it's gearing up. It's making some wave. And T, he's on his way up too with the A-Team. What better two forces to put together? And they already got some common background with Sylvester Stallone. So, if you want to go even further down this fucking rabbit hole, if Stallone hadn't tried to write Rocky in the 70s, WWE wouldn't be where it is today. I'm saying it right now.
Oh, wow.
I'm saying it right now. Because Stallone wrote Rocky.
But Rocky didn't, send up Hogan's star, though. It just helped.
No.
He was already on his way.
But they gave him a platform to step.
True.
What better platform than something that is the Rocky series? The Rocky series is going to be one of the most franchisable things you can get on. Because it's the fucking Rocky story. Nobody starts off a series by you losing. But Rocky did it.
Rocky did it.
So, through the theory, I'm saying right now, Rocky 3, that's why it's number 3 on my list.
Okay. All right.
Because of that connection made, translates into WrestleMania, which translates into Hulkamania, which translates to my childhood. Boom.
All right. Well, moving on to the big baddie. This is the top of our list, the top of the pops. No Holds Barred. An independent film by New Line Cinemas and produced by none other than Vince McMahon himself.
And Hogan. Hogan was a producer of that as well.
Definitely an independent film. This was way before New Line was owned by Warner Brothers. I'm going to tell you straight up, I had every intentions of watching this film for this.
Yep.
It is downstairs, right by my Blu-ray player. It might even be in the Xbox. I don't remember.
That close.
But
So close.
Rather than watch No Holds Barred, I went with The Ultimate Weapon.
Never heard of her.
Yeah, it was not a great film. I'm still yet to finish it.
Carl Weathers.
Was not in it. This isn't the same one.
It's not the same one.
No. What was that film?
Shadow Warriors.
Shadow Warriors.
There it is.
That's what I went to find, but ended up with The Ultimate Weapon.
Ultimate Weapon. Did I have a guy that had a ring with dragons on one side and a tiger on the other side? Was it a martial arts film? No, it's The Perfect Weapon. That's The Perfect Weapon.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Nope, never mind. Different movie. Different
So,
different
I did not watch No Holds Barred. I have no notes on it. My favorite all-time scene.
Dookie.
What's that smell? Dookie. Yes. You can't watch this film without remembering that scene.
No,
So,
you can't.
that's my only true note about it. Dookie. Obviously, No Holds Barred is the story, or do you have the synopsis?
I don't have the synopsis.
Okay.
I do, but it's really... I can go through the synopsis.
Go for it real quick.
All right. Rip, a.k.a. Hogan.
Hogan.
Right. In the World Wrestling Federation. So it's not even trying to fake the WWF, right? It's
Right.
the WWF. Champion who is faithful to his fans and the network where he wrestles for. Brel, the new head of the World Television Network, WTN, wants Rip to wrestle for his network. Rip refuses to go back to his normal life, still looking for a way to raise the ratings. Brel initiates a show called The Battle of the Tough Guys, which is absolutely the fucking most ridiculous title I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah.
But to the point, which is a violent brawling competition. A mysterious man, Zeus, a.k.a. Debo,
Debo? Tiny Lister?
yeah, wins the competition. This gets Brel to use him as the angle to get to Rip. Okay, so, best part about Zeus is when I saw Friday for the first time in the 4th grade, I was like, oh, his name is Debo in Friday, of course, as everybody knows in 4, I recognized him. I'm like, that's Zeus. That's the guy that fought Hogan in... I'm like, he does movies too? I thought he was just a wrestler, So, like, that was the weird, that was a weird, like, oh, I remember that guy from a movie about a wrestler and then didn't even associate him as an actor, but as a wrestler.
Yeah, well, I mean, they took the Zeus character
They tried.
and put him into WWF television.
Oh, they tried.
He was not good at it.
They fucking tried.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's how I thought it was, too. I thought Zeus was a new wrestler, so when years later, when I seen him in films, it's like, why is Zeus acting? Like, he couldn't make it as a wrestler?
No, he can't.
It was an actor who couldn't make it as a wrestler, not a wrestler who couldn't make it as wrestling. So, yeah.
But through this... Okay, so there's the background. I titled my notes, Hogan Knows Flops, right?
Well, that's gotta be...
That's gotta be true, right?
Yep.
Except for No Holds Barred.
Oh.
The budget for this movie was $8 million, and it grossed $16.0 million.
Was that... Because if I remember correctly, I think they released the movie in theaters and on pay-per-view the same day.
Did they do a pay-per-view?
I think they did.
Could you imagine trying to pay pay-per-view prices for a movie nowadays? I bet we do it so we don't have to leave the house.
Yeah.
I on demand all the time, so I'm not going to drive 12 minutes of family video. Like, I'm dead serious. Like,
I'm starting to do that. I'm starting to get out of physical media. Physical media has been my jam for years. Like, I just recently got into Spotify maybe like a year or two ago, but it, like, right to the left of Jake is my entire CD collection. Like, it is massive.
It's a wall. It's a wall. It's literally, there's a wall of CDs.
Downstairs in my library, like, it is a wall of DVDs and Blu-rays. Like, I am a physical media guy.
You are a collector of stuff.
I am, unfortunately.
It's not like you like to collect, but you like to show what you have. You can't do that on a microchip.
Yeah.
So...
I have a microchip.
Yeah, a microchip of information. No. So maybe that's how they got their $16 million.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Because I do know, because I'm an avid listener to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. They did an entire episode on No Holds Barred, that when No Holds Barred came out and they put it on the pay-per-view, that they had a little pre-show with it as well. And it has like 1 or 2 matches with Hogan. And that was the only way to watch that, was just the beginning of this.
With the beginning of that.
Yeah, was the beginning of No Holds Barred.
Who did he wrestle in the beginning? Was it Jake Bullet?
I cannot remember.
I think they called him Jake Bullet in the movie.
Really?
I think it's something like Jake Bullet. And he looked like a larger jobber. I don't remember him. He might have had a small mid-card role, but he was a bigger gentleman. Had a little bit of makeup around the eye, kind of darkening him up. But, so they start the movie off, of course. Him coming out, white leather belt, right? Same WWE, the
It's the Winged Eagle, isn't it?
It's the Winged Eagle.
Okay, I think this is the first time you see the Winged Eagle, but it's on white.
Oh, this is the introduction of the Winged Eagle.
I think.
Okay, but it's the white leather.
Yes.
Which is appropriate because his colors aren't yellow and red; they're white and
Blue,
like a light baby bluish. So they go into the match. Mean Gene and fucking Jesse the Body they're commentating. You got the Fink and the fucking doing the introduction, and then they give you the synopsis of every Hogan match you're ever gonna see. It is the Hogan match. He's got match A, B, or C, and they showed you match A. It starts out strong. Hogan's fucking beating ass, as he would. But of course, his nemesis, turns it around and he starts taking him down. beating Hogan to a pulp. You know, just he gets him in a sleeper. You know, and they're doing the arm thing. You know, one arm down, one arm, two arms down, and you're seeing life from Hogan's eyes. Things are getting blurry, but yet he sees his little brother Randy on the outside, giving him the weird hand symbol where it's like the Hawaiian "I love you," but you got your index finger like cocked in half, and you got to say "rip 'em" when you do it. And it's very uncomfortable and awkward to do. I don't like. So,
I forgot all about that. It's coming back, brother.
So like I tried to do it during the whole entire movie, and it just feels very unnatural. But you had to do something to make something different. So,
right.
Anyways, he's in his sleeper. He's about to go down for the third, so the fucking match is over. Guess what? He's back in it, baby. And then he gives us what we refer to as, and he hulks up.
Yep.
He hulks up, fucking turns the match around, fucking up against the ropes, give him the big boot to the face, but instead of doing the signature Hogan leg drop, he does the double axe handle to the face. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Boom. That's the fucking match. That's Hulk Hogan, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we lived up to. And you could have probably ended the movie right there.
Oh, yeah. That's what we came for.
That's what we came for.
Send us home happy.
No, that's not it. Of course, there's some fucking treason in the movie where they got a mole with sexy young vixen trying to woo him over to the other network. And also, I don't know if you noticed this or if you ever made this connection. This movie is, I don't know, foreshadowing or a satire, or I don't know what word I want to use, but it's Ted Turner wrestling.
Oh, damn.
You know what? It's Ted Turner wrestling. He's trying to throw money at him. Come on over to me. Come on over to me. Hogan's loyal. No, I'm with these guys.
I feel like that's art.
So I don't know if that's why they
life.
wrote it, because you got to think that's 89. He's not quite through yet, but he's probably trying to get those feelers out there. I would assume. But it's Ted Turner wrestling to the T. That's exactly what they did. They're gonna buy their talent over. Come to me. I'm going to make you a star.
I'd have to go through and actually look at like the history of WCW because I've read a book on it, but I don't remember the dates too well because I wasn't a WCW guy.
I wasn't either. Not until the Nitro era, where I was the flipper back and forth.
Right.
Like, I wanted to see Sting, I wanted to see the NWO, but I also wanted to see HBK, the Heart Foundation.
Yeah, you were a watcher of the Monday Night Wars. Like,
yeah,
you were jumping back and forth.
Like I almost made my parents buy 2 TVs. And I can guarantee the last fucking thing they're gonna do is buy 2 TVs so I could watch both wrestling networks at the same time. Was not gonna happen. But the premise of this movie, same fucking thing. I mean, it was just like, watching it now it makes sense, but watching it back then, I don't remember any of it.
Right. I just remember like really liking it. And I would rent it at the movie store from time to time. But then when the movie store didn't have it anymore, it was just lost in the abyss, man. Like, I could not get my hands on it until, like, the modern age where it's like I could buy a bootleg. And I was like, no, I'll just wait. Maybe someday it'll come out. And the waiting paid off.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was everything we ever wanted as a child. When we watched wrestling, the Saturday Night Live, or not Saturday Night Live, but the whatever episode they had on Saturday night.
Saturday Night Main Event.
Yeah.
Yep.
You'd see like intros of like Hogan, Warrior, Andre, but then you were not getting Hogan, Warrior, Andre, and then you'd sit there like a good little kid, way past your bedtime to begin with, and hope to get a fucking glimpse of them. This movie was an entire glimpse of what our idol was.
Yes.
So, like, it was, from start to finish, I got Hogan, and that's all that matters. And that's why it's number 1 on my list, because it was, as a child, I don't care the quality or whatever, it was godlike to me. It was Hogan from start to finish, and that's what I loved about it. So,
I would say probably at the amount of that we've talked about every one of these films, it's funny that No Holds Barred was the top of our thing because we had way more to say about Suburban Commando. Yeah. Like, I feel like Suburban Commando had the bigger impact on us. So it's funny that No Holds Barred was at the top of both of ours.
Yeah, it was.
Now that we've gone through the entire battlefield of what we picked here, if you were to go through, since you watched all these films,
yes,
would your top 5 on how good the films are, would that have changed?
Like quality of the film,
yes.
Quality of writing, the way they were shot, production, I would have to... No Holds Barred isn't bad, production-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta take Rocky 3 out of it because that was definitely a fucking blockbuster. Like, you can't.
Actually, I would say Rocky 3 is just now at number 1 because it was the best.
It was
best made movie.
But
if you're throwing out,
it's a cameo.
Okay, so we're throwing out cameos.
I would throw the cameo out. Top quality of the way it was shot and everything. It's tough. It really is tough. But
I mean, if we're throwing out cameos, then I don't think I am changing anything.
I think you might be there, but Nanny was shot really well.
Yes.
You gotta look. They had the biggest stars, but so was Suburban Commando.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not gonna touch it. Not touching it.
If you go back, did you watch any of the trailers?
I did not watch any trailers.
Okay.
No.
So I watched Mr. Nanny, and they are like, "Oh, do you want to see the trailer? Sure, fuck it. Why not?
Why not? I've already dug this hole."
You could definitely tell that they did not market that movie well at all.
No.
Suburban Commando had a really good trailer. So yeah.
The Suburban Commando trailer really pops out to me just from I remember seeing it on VHS, and I loved it. This is the 90s. We'll sue you. When he was talking about beating up the neighbors with the race cars.
Yeah, what the hell was with that? Why?
Nobody does that in suburbia. Nobody's a fucking complete prick. They were just some greased up fucking neighbors that are big bad and, drove dragsters and...
I feel like the one guy was a wrestler, but I can't
He's not a wrestler, but he's in other films, and I can't for the life of me. I'm going to try to look it up right now, but...
Okay, so we did the top 5. We gave you our top 5.
Our top 5.
I took to Facebook, and I put on my personal Facebook top 5 Hogan films. I've got responses of, did he do 5?
Right.
Yeah.
He did. No doubt in my mind, he did 5.
I got, is this a trick question? I got 1, 2, 3, and 4, No Holds Barred. Number 5, Secret Agent Club.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't even know what that is. I got number 1, 3 Ninjas at Mega Mountain, which, did you really watch that?
No.
2, Suburban Commando. 3, Santa with Muscles.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's in, is that Jingle All the Way? No, that was,
No. So I don't know. I don't remember Santa with Muscles too much. I obviously did not watch Santa with Muscles.
Oh.
I was also brought up, well, this person said Gremlins 2, No Holds Barred, Pearl Harbor, The Titanic, and Anaconda. Now, he was not in Pearl Harbor, Titanic, or Anaconda, so I said, what the fuck? And he said, those 24-inch python, bro.
Oh, son of a bitch.
And then I was also told, does the sex tape count?
I didn't mention it, but it was, I have it on my list of notes over here as an honorable mention.
It's an honorable mention?
And I can say why it's an honorable mention. Yeah, the belly smack, right? So, post his prime, Hogan. So, the big thing when I was a kid, it was always like, well, my dad could beat up your dad. Well, no, your dad can't beat up my dad because my dad's Hulk Hogan. Well, it turns out, kids, my dad was Hulk Hogan. Some fucking big-ass racist who loved hookers? Yes, dude, Hulk Hogan is my dad.
Wow. I mean, yeah, this is the infamous sex tape that brought down Hogan's fame. His star got lowered a little bit. Threatened to erase his entire existence.
Forget? You know what he did? He hulked up, and he's coming back.
He hulked up. He got his southern flag. He raised it high.
Stars and bars, here we come.
He is back.
He's back now. He's been reinstated. I believe he's got Hall of Fame rights again.
He's got his Hall of Fame rights.
Okay.
He's probably going to be at this year's Mania. He's probably going to induct Brutus the Barber fucking Beefcake into the...
And who else is getting inducted this year? Neidhart.
Yes.
With the
Neidhart's finally going in. This is all great stuff. I no longer feel about Hulk Hogan like I did as a child. You never want to meet your idols. I've not met Hulk Hogan, but I've seen too much behind the curtain to actually respect this guy the way that I did. So I actually prefer remembering the man that I idolize so much, which is the character Hulk Hogan.
I could not agree with you more on that.
Yes.
I really could not. Just like that sensation as a child, he was a hero. He was our god. He was, everything we looked up